Sure thing, Bill.
When we get the ball rolling here at 6:30, call to order our Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting. Attendance, please.
Alderman Motley. Here. Alderman Hudson.
Here.
Alderman Wilkins. Alderman Decker.
Here.
Alderman Rogers.
Present.
Alderman Magley.
Yep.
Please stand, join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open up to comments from citizens. Seeing none, we will move on. That moves us to the electric department. Looking at the wrong map there for a minute, sorry.
We set a couple poles this week, or not this week, but this last month. Got a little behind due to weather, and we ended up getting our stump grinder in. Found out that thing works pretty darn well. So we're able to go ahead and knock trees out, grind and haul off and seed straw on the same day. So I think that's going to be a pretty large asset to our department as far as knocking everything else out at once. Been driving around and seeing where there's still stubs that are 3 years old, so we're gonna start knocking some of those out. Now that the weather's turning, we're gonna start setting some more poles.
You're marking some of them with X's that you're gonna take down?
The trees?
No, the poles.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw one, it looked like it needed to be done, and that's what I was suspecting.
Yeah, there's quite a few that need to be done, so now that we're getting this dry weather out, we can go ahead and start setting them, being a little bit better.
Good.
A lot of trees on Booth Street, huh? X is on a lot of trees on Booth Street, I noticed.
Yes, so we knocked on all doors that we're gonna be replacing sidewalk for, and we're gonna cut down those trees, so talked to everybody, got really good feedback on that. Everyone's pretty excited to have those cut down and new sidewalk from the park to Jefferson.
Nice.
Mike and I did have a meeting with NPUA. They wanted to set up some sort of contract with the city as almost like a standby or mutual aid slash,
Just service agreement.
Yeah.
Kinda, if we get in any trouble, they have work that they can't do, they have more work than they can do. They're putting a crew together to actually do the work and work for the cities. And not only that, their expertise that they have, which I think their guy was past foreman or general contractor for the city of Columbia for like 25, 26 years. So
Yeah.
a lot of good knowledge for him. He lives in Hallsville. He said he'd come up anytime, day or night, work for us. I think it's gonna be a really good tool for him and
Yeah.
source of, information for him, so.
yeah.
They can,
Their NPUA's like, they're setting this crew out to be a contracting crew. So if we would need help pulling in long stretch of wire or, huge pole change out, or even like we did, what was it, 2 years ago with the new circuits out of Wilson Street, pulling in that 1,000 wire, they would be able to do that and have all the tools to be able to terminate, where we don't necessarily have that. It's just an option to be able to have for a resource we can use, so.
Nice.
I've got the contract here. It doesn't tie us to anything. It just lets us know what they're gonna provide. And it may change a little bit as we go. It's new, so there's gonna be some new information to go along with it. I think for him, it's gonna be fantastic. So, probably, if you all have no problem with it, go ahead and sign up for the agreement if we ever need that help.
I read through part of it, I didn't read the entire document. Is that something that will be a bill next week at our regular meeting?
We're
It's-
not paying anything right now. This is
It's
just a
not-
contract that said he'd be interested.
They mean a bill
It's to put us on the list of where we could use that
That's
option.
a bill. It will be.
I hear bill and usually mean money, so, no.
Yes, it will be on the agenda
Yeah.
on Monday.
Anything else, Matt?
That should be it.
Okay. Bill?
Oh, pretty good month, really. We had our annual spring cleanup. I'd say it was a little bit lighter than normal. We fill up all the dumpsters every day, but it went really well. Did a lot of sidewalk work, didn't go just redo the sidewalk on Railroad Street. It's actually all done now, but just getting that wrapped up. Did quite a bit of drainage work, mostly just dealing with flooding, all the rain last month. But yeah, just a pretty busy month, really.
I noticed we got a couple of bids here.
Yep, we, got, pipe, bids for, Jefferson Street from, Cox down to, who's that, Pace's house, where it cuts underneath Jefferson, and then along the other side, it's the concrete pipe along front of the high school. We've got 900, if I can find it here, it's like a little over 900 feet of concrete pipe and 5 inlet boxes. And that would take care of everything in front of the high school. And then we got plastic on the other side, and got 3 quotes on that for the plastic. Water and sewer's a little bit on that. There's a 100 foot of 24 inch and 260 feet of 36 inch pipe on that. On the concrete, I only have 1 quote. Our Fred Weber is the sole maker of concrete pipe in Missouri. Everybody I called, that's where they get it from. So that's why I only have 1 quote on that.
This is a budgeted item for this year. It's part of our capital improvements. We budgeted 150, so we would like to go ahead and get this ordered at 90 so that we can save that other 60,000 for maybe some stormwater work along Gano Chance and Allen Street.
We need a motion for these?
No, not yet. We'll have an official motion on Monday.
Okay.
This is just for your information, so
Okay, so
if you have any questions.
we're looking at 14,500 and some change for one set and just under 76,000 for the other.
Water and sewer got it all in stock, Bill?
No, I didn't have it all in stock, but he thought he could get everything pretty reasonable, fairly quick.
I've heard that before.
Not trying to butt in, you guys have to buy in Missouri, like the concrete pipe, does it have to be in Missouri? So County Materials in Springfield, Illinois sells, they make RCP pipe, and they might be an option if you all are wanting a price check, Fred Weber. Just throwing that out there for you guys.
What about, does anybody have it all in stock?
With the plastic pipe? No.
No.
No, the concrete stuff's about 8 weeks out.
What's the plastic out?
He didn't give me a time on that when I was talking to him.
And they'll hold this bid for how long?
30 days is better.
Yeah, I'd say as soon as we okay it, I mean,
We give
that's.
them a PO, we give
yeah.
them a PO, right, and it locks it in, there's
Yeah.
no
This
escalation in
one,
that.
water and sewer's 30 days.
I mean, there's no escalation clause in their acceptance of the PO.
They're both
Not
30
on
days.
water and sewer, right?
I know Core Main has some wording on their bids that state that it could, when it arrives, maybe more, but I don't know about
So
water.
the second one,
They already,
it just said.
It doesn't say.
So one is for, one is for the, right in front of the high school, and the other one is for the remainder of it, because it's a different kind of pipe. So, this water and sewer one, which was a low bid, was 30 days. And we just have 2 copies of it. Only 2.
yeah, there's 2 quotes in there from RCP. For 70,000.
same thing?
Yeah, they're the same.
Same
So
thing.
we
Yeah,
mostly just
it just got put in there
It
twice.
just got put in there twice. So do you
Yeah.
have the other quotes then? You have the other packet for the other?
Coming in at 10.
Yes.
Yeah,
we do.
yeah, put it in.
Yeah, so we just had to, we just wanna make sure you saw it.
Any other conversation on these?
No, I mean, we'll save money, we'll say, once we get those ditches, it looks nicer, it eliminates a risk to motorists as well as we don't have to be out there trying to mow that with those one-arm, machine, you know, on the tractor, so give it sidewalks and give some time back. Yep,
Okay.
cool.
So we'll move on to water and sewer. What do you got for us today?
On the distribution side, just some new construction services, we put in, and I think Mike probably has more of this. We've, had a couple meetings on the lime slaker. We're still seeing some problems arise with that thing, and I know, Mike and Heather have been involved. They did send a letter out. Did you have that on yours, Mike?
I don't have a
Okay.
copy of it,
Okay.
but, we sent a letter, Heather, I gave her all the timelines of everything that's happened with it. She printed it up, we gave them 6 months, of no issue, no problem of any kind. If we had that, we're done with the project. It's just, their fix last time was to come put a new heater in it, which they've done 3 times, and they said you should be good to go. Well, we've heard that 3 other times, so don't have a lot of faith, and when they did, they looked at the other existing heater, and it looks like it can go any day. So I don't think we've got a product that's gonna work for us long term.
What options are?
We contacted the older Slaker company that we had, they came up, looked at it. We sent a lime analysis, Blake asked for that, we got a lime sample sent to them, and they said everything seemed fine on that. That was their take on it.
Yeah, your line supply is not a problem.
Yeah. And we haven't changed our lime since I've been here, it's the same thing. One load to the other may have just slightly variance on it, but you're gonna have that. But so, I think we're fighting a battle, it's not gonna be one there, so.
So we're giving them 6 months?
6 months, and I think the day was, what was that day?
Is it heating up
We sent it out last week, Tuesday.
Right now, since they put the new heater in, we are making temperature, seems to be sufficient right now with
Yeah,
everything that's
right
happening.
now it's sitting where it needs to sit, but.
We're making about a month per heater, it seems like, so,
Isn't that the longest we've had it in operation where it was functional would be, what period of time, 30 days?
A month.
Yeah, 30 days,
Yeah.
so 6 months is a huge stretch.
Right.
it was
Yeah, we're-
installed June 4th, I think was the startup on the plant, so. We had a big meeting in January with the owner of the company and told them we'd give them another month, and that was it, and we're still fighting with it, so it's time.
How much warranty's on the Slaker? How
2
long?
years.
2 years?
Well, and
And
the
that
heat-
hasn't started. We told them it started from the day we sent the letter, because we told them we weren't gonna
I have to
carry it
start
at that
pull
point.
it up.
A warranty?
Well,
Do you want me to
So
show
the
you?
warranty didn't start June 4th?
No, because we've had so many problems, we told them we were not starting to that point. So, once we got it going, we sent the letter, it was working fine that day, we said, here we go, from now on, it will be started and go from there.
So if it makes it a year.
the startup, we're still in startup because it hasn't functioned long enough to be turned into, to actually go against the warranty.
And I'm gonna be honest, Matt now did some of the work on it because they wouldn't show up. Now, they're not doing any more from now on, we're not touching anything on it, we don't wanna be responsible for anything. But we've talked them through a lot of stuff, just trying to help them, that's kinda where we're at with this, so.
I realize we haven't had to pay for these heaters, but if we were to keep it in, how much does it cost to replace one of those? Any idea?
$500-600 for one.
Yeah, I don't know
They're
what
a big
heater.
18-inch heater, about this big around.
I'd say, yeah,
Then
I'd
you got
say
the main, you
somewhere in
got the
there.
maintenance time. it
$1,000.
Costs you $1,000 every time you replace one because you got man hours and everything else.
One other,
If you gotta do that every month, though, that's.
Well, and that,
We
and
can't.
with the old unit that they came up, the existing one we had before that was
we put it in
cast or
2000.
whatever because it wasn't stainless, we saved some money, but didn't you say you don't remember
We
changing more than
replaced-
one or two?
Yeah, we replaced
The whole
2
time,
heaters
in 20
in
years.
22 years.
So there's something gotta be wrong there.
Now, on this Nick Martin, who's the general contractor on the job, said in order to keep a better eye on it, he wanted to come back about every 2 weeks and go in and check it. We wouldn't normally do that, and I don't want them to go in and see something and change it out. I think we need to let them go 6 months without touching it like it was working perfectly. And if it makes it, well, we deal with it then, but
What's our next option if it doesn't work?
then we have to look at this other unit, Slaker. And he sees no reason, they actually make even one smaller than the one we got. And he said, I think we can go either direction and still get the numbers you want.
Which he did say, what was it, how many weeks was it out?
40.
40 weeks.
40
It's a long time to get.
Yeah, and I think that was after shop drawings.
Yeah.
After approved drawings,
Yeah.
somebody
There's-
else.
He did, he did say familiarity with what we'd had before was definitely gonna help, but he might try to cut that down a little bit, but
Where are they manufactured?
like Pennsylvania,
They're actually manufactured in Pennsylvania?
the company is there, they manufacture it.
The guy was pretty impressive. He seemed to know his stuff, and he said, they asked him a question about something outside of, the system in the room. And he said, I don't know, I don't answer those questions, but I'm an expert at what goes on in that room in there, period. I mean, he was pretty confident without being
So
overconfident.
when do we make a decision if we go with them or not?
When it fails,
The next time it fails?
next time it fails, yeah.
The lights flicker,
It's gotta work for you're saying it's gotta work for 6 months without having to be fixed.
Nothing being done to it, is what you're saying. He wants to come back and look
If
at
it
it.
fails in the
yeah,
next
with
3
any,
weeks.
I don't want them doing that.
Yeah, at any point in the 6 months, if it goes down, we have to, it's just
Yeah.
not, it's not smart to keep going with it.
Yeah.
I
don't
just wanna
feel
make
like-
sure we drew a line
Yeah,
somewhere. and-
no, that's,
And I don't want them coming back and checking it and saying, whoops, this needs to be fixed, and they keep extending it on. I don't think that's the way to
They
do
won't
it.
do that long term.
Yeah. And we're not gonna do it either. We're not gonna check it every
Right.
month tearing it down, so.
Okay. Making progress.
Thanks.
Making progress, but making progress.
yeah, that's the word you want to use.
It's all good.
Anything else on the distribution side?
No, I think that's all I got on the water distribution stuff.
How about the wastewater?
Wastewater, we just, had been doing some stuff with the project, trying to get going on it. A lot of meetings with Mike and Bartlett and some of their reps, Nick Martin, trying to make things work. A lot of our pumps and stuff are way out, so we now have to figure out a way to get rid of water without those, on site, so a lot of meetings.
Had a meeting today, and we hope to have some prices to you Monday on the suggested remedy to get through this year. So if we do that, then we gotta just decide who's doing what as far as paying and diesel fuel and all
Yeah,
that.
so just a little bit of that is we're looking at some mobile pumps that are capable of running the pivots out of the new basins that are gonna be complete. With that being said, there may be some cost, obviously, to rent those machines. So I know Mike and I have discussed just maybe looking and talking to the farmers that if we do go this route, because this is not part of the permanent project, we need to get rid of water and they really want water. So we're thinking maybe try to talk to them and maybe split that cost, so the city's not 100% reliable for that cost, so that's where we're at on that.
Is any ballpark at this point, or is it just?
We won't have cost until Friday.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said
I
today.
mean, we did have some preliminary costs, but whenever they got out there and actually saw what they needed, they said that they were going to adjust what they had originally quoted.
In our favor,
Yeah, it'll be in
in our favor, so hopefully we can get that worked out.
You get that Friday, can you share it ahead of
Yeah.
time? so-
Yeah, I told them I wanted Friday so they could get it in the packet and Beth would give it to me.
Okay. And the annual water quality report in the packet?
This is a standard report that we do. It's an all more public relations thing, just to let them know what our quality of water is. We've met all grades on what we tested on. Everything seems to be fine. Nothing's really changed from previous years, so we just just wanted to share that with you, and it has been sent out, so.
Which brings us to our water and wastewater project update.
All right. Well, it sounds like a lot of this was covered, very well with Matt. So drinking water wise, Matt covered it very well. The Slaker's our biggest challenge there. And you guys are starting the clock, which I think is really smart. I don't think it'll be easy if things were to fail. I don't think it'll give up that easy, but we'll support you. And the specs, you'll win. I mean, you certainly have the backing with the specs to get what you need there, so. Any questions on drinking water? Right now, things are under budget over there. That's been the positive piece with that. We just gotta get this Slaker figured out and get back to where you guys need it to be, so. Question on drinking water?
You say under budget, how much under budget?
I would have to check. Sorry, but yeah, I don't track that daily or anything like that, but I definitely know on our budget, our engineering. So you guys pay us hourly, we don't get paid lump sum like the contractors do. We get paid for what we do. And right now, we're way under on that, and it was so much, and I mean, it's just been, I don't have that number in my mind, but I'm assuming we're not gonna hit it unless this Slaker drags on 10 more years. Because we're continuing to help you guys and have meetings and talk about it and things like that. If it wasn't for that, we'd be done. So, I can come with that, and I am available Monday night if I need to be. So I will look to, let's get through this discussion, and you guys can tell me if you need me to come back. Okay. Wastewater, let's go through that. We have two challenges there. The first challenge is going to be the supply chain. We really needed our goodies like now. The farmers are gonna start planting, they haven't planted yet, but they're going to. We can't get the pumps, the electronics, the control panels, the things that we need fast enough. So we've been looking at a lot of cost savings, or not cost saving measures, but supply chain measures. What can we do to get the farmers in water this season? Because you need to get rid of the water and they need the water. So we all want this. That's causing us to look at the rental pumps that we're talking about. All of these things are costing the project money. The budget on the wastewater is not in good shape. It's struggling. That's one of the reasons why. It's getting ready to potentially see a hit. Now, when you say struggling, what does that mean? Where are we at with that budget? I was expecting to know that. Right now, we're 0 to 50,000 or so with left in contingency. We did ask for the contingency. Blake and I both did to the PM over at the funding agency, and they did not send it back. The person said they're very busy, they have a lot of projects, and I didn't. But that's a number we need, because as these decisions start getting closer to being made, we need to know how much is left. So we'll keep pushing for that number. Good, okay. Our budget as well, the engineering piece, is we're not going to have enough budget to complete this project. So, right now we have about 30,000 left, it will not complete it. We should be wrapping the project up now, and I think the project's gonna drag on to the end of the year. So, what I'm trying to do right now is gather some things, gather some estimates of what I think it's gonna take us to finish with the issues we're having out at the basins, the issues we're having with the supply chain, and give you guys an estimate as well as the additional time that this is dragging on. What I want to do is see if DNR will transfer from the drinking water to the wastewater, but right now they're telling me no, which is unfortunate, because one's going under and one's going to be over. So more to come on that. I do want to give you guys a heads up, not just run out and say I'm out. So I owe you an estimate to finish.
Well, right now, if we get these transfer, you think we'd wash?
I think we can complete if we get
Pretty
transfer.
close, we'd be pretty close to making,
I
if
do.
we,
I do. They're two separate projects. It's all DNR, but there's a wastewater and a water.
Yeah.
And they're not letting us commingle the funds. And I get it. Accounting people don't like that.
But the problem is, we could use that money to say, I want to paint that tank on top of the water tower, or the water plant, and they'd be fine with that, because it's part of the water. And we're still trying to accomplish the same things, that's what.
Where does it leave us if we go over budget?
There's two choices. You can increase the loan, because the loan on the water is under. Your maximum is 7.8. That's what the voters said you could do for these two projects.
The drinking water is gonna be less. The wastewater is the 7.8 minus what the drinking water was going to be. So there's a difference there left over. Increase the loan on the wastewater is a possibility. It actually got a grant, but the water didn't.
Well, I know you're gonna get us these numbers, but ballpark, what would it be over now if you just took a wild guess?
60 to 70,000.
Well,
For the
I
end
agree
of
with
the
you.
year, all in.
I want us to step back a second though, because my mind needs to understand this in steps. You tell me we're running over, and it's because of the extensions and the timing, right? It's dragging out. What are the main reasons for that? In your mind, why are we running over at this point? You know, help me understand why we've gotten to where we're at. I have to be able to understand that better.
The earthen basins, which we're getting ready to talk to, we hired a
Okay.
sub, we're gonna continue to hire subs for that, experts in soils. We're gonna get that done, additional meetings for that, going way back. The contract, we're gonna talk about an extension tonight on time, it's gotten extended and it will
Okay,
get,
so the soils part of it, is this something that should have been remedied a long time ago, or is this something that's been an ongoing problem, and now it's drug out because we haven't come up with the right solution?
let's jump into the soils now, let's do that.
Let's do that, help
Because
me
I think then
understand.
I probably should have done it in different order, but.
No, you're fine, but you understand why I want to know, I mean, we want to know.
No, and I'm gonna detail it out too.
Okay.
I have a handout already
Alright.
started, things are actually changing as of today.
If I have questions, I'll ask later.
Cool. So these two basins, the pictures behind you are, there are 4 extremely large earthen basins on this project. 3 of the 4 are almost done. They were the largest 3. The one you're seeing right there that has a kind of a pie shape is the problem child. It's the 4th out of 4. This guy here has a wet spot in the corner of it that it just continues to be a problem. We looked at it today. We looked at it before we built the berm. We had an expert come out, look at the soil, wrote a report. The city has it. We provided it to you, saying it was good to start beginning. I'm thinking that the traffic, it looks worse than it did back then. The traffic, I guess, has brought this water up, and it saturates things that are already complete. You compact it, it's come back, and it's softened back up. So it has a risk, and this is us digging holes. This is today. Matt dug the holes for our geotech. I'm in the white shirt. The guy we hired's in the blue. It's Terracon of Columbia, Missouri, largest geotech firm in the country. So they're giving advice. They've already written 2 reports on this project. We're struggling still in that same location that was identified. It's not a huge location. This is probably 100 by 50,
If even that.
and we're talking 80 acres worth of ponds in this project, and we have this one problem area, and it just continues to soften up, and it's not giving, everybody's nervous about it, and me included. And there's a picture there of water that was not there when we first scooped it, and it's starting to come back up. So we talked about solutions.
That was probably, what, 4 foot deep?
4 foot deep.
So not to interrupt, but I mean, but also we need to understand that at that, where that water's coming in, that's below anything we've touched, okay? That's below grade of anything we've done, so by probably a couple foot or more.
So what you guys really need to know at the council level is all of the soils are the same across this site. The difference with this hole that was dug right there is it's wetter. It just constantly is getting water from somewhere.
This is the lower basin.
This is the lower basin,
The upper basin is fine.
correct. This is one corner of the lower basin, it's a very small area. For some reason, it's getting wet. It's the same dirt, it's the same type, it's classified, it's actually native, meaning it hasn't been disturbed, it's not fill, it's not manure, it's not sawdust, it's not creek gravel. This is what all the other stuff is too.
This is on the west end of this basin, is that correct?
Yes.
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 Southwest corner.
Is it critical that basin has to be that big?
No. It does not have to be that big.
Is that one of your alternate?
That's one of the choices.
Okay.
There's about 4 or 5 things we can do here, and they have different varying risk and cost impacts. Highest risk, cheapest. Lowest risk, more costly. And there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of people that aren't feeling like gambling, and this is a place where we don't really like to gamble. We propose to have the gentleman in the blue shirt and the rest of his company provide us a proposal to get out there this week and dig across this and try to find where the boundary of this is and look at, I want them to send us a report saying where we can put this basin finally, satisfactorily, that will be okay. We did that once and it changed. Obviously, they got nervous, called them back out.
So, this is where I've got a problem with it. We've hired Terracon one time to come out. They wrote us we can build on it. I was out there today, and he seemed nervous about it, did he not?
Yes, he did.
So, why, I guess, why should the city be accountable to pay for the reports and then to come back out and do their thing if they've already approved it once? And now he's scared that it's not gonna hold.
Blake, you was on site for the prior, correct, when he was out here this first time?
The first time.
So is this the
I was
third
not.
time he's been out here or the second?
This is third.
This is
Third time.
third as.
But this is the second time in that area. The first time was down in the lower, when we initially hit that unsuitable, okay. So, I mean, I agree that he seemed pretty uneasy about, because I thought the first time he was out in that area, he was pretty relaxed, that everything was good, and had a lot of concerns, and I think now he's back, and I think he's thinking kind of, holy shit. But that's just my opinion. I mean, what do you think about it?
I mean, when we were out there the first time, you could walk by and you could see water boiling up out of the ground. I mean, and so he said it was good to build on. That hole with that water in it took 30 minutes to put water back in it.
Yep.
And I mean, to me, somebody else ought to be responsible for it instead of the city paying for them to come out and do all that stuff, my opinion. I mean, if he said that it was good for the first time, but now he's scared, a little nervous about it, I mean, it's,
So the first time he went out, he saw the water bubbling and coming up? And
I don't know if he's seen the water bubbling or what.
I mean,
To me, it was in worse shape then.
To me.
Than it was today.
Yes.
yes, I agree 100%.
Before, it was in a lot worse shape than it was.
There was a lot of standing water, so, it was kind of in the winter, it been raining, it was cold. We dug down to some virgin, we found some sand pockets. He just didn't seem too concerned. He was getting some decent probes, and when I say decent, hitting some firm soil fairly shallow on his probe. Water was coming in though. We had concerns then, and it just seems like it doesn't get better. My concern is, this is where all the hydraulic load of the dam's gonna be, and I don't want, we don't want something happening. We don't want 2 years from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, something happening. It's strange to me. I think there's a pocket of water trapped underneath there, maybe. I'm not a soil scientist. I've never seen water do quite this in this type of soil. I've seen this in like river bottom situations, but not quite like this, where it's, because if you gotta understand, it's saturating from lower coming up. It's not from, we've had a lot of rain, but we haven't had rainfall and it's moving down. It's coming from below and moving up, in my opinion.
Has it been doing this all the last 4 or 5 months?
Yes, and this was where we talked about,
The last 4?
yes, this is why we
This is why we call
You
it.
brought that up, and Sam was part of the issue, we thought at that point. He came out, you all raised your hand and said, we've got a water problem, we're concerned about it, we want to continue to work and move equipment up, cubic feet and everything else. And so now we're at,
That's a good point. We got nervous about this. We called him out there because something was not right, and it made us nervous. Get him out there, look at it.
well, that's why we hired them. We're paying them to come out here. They didn't come out here free. This guy in the blue shirt today, I'm sure had a charge, but he really should come out and look at it again if it's failed after he's given us an engineered soil report that it's buildable. I agree with him on that. That question to me, that if, that's why you hire somebody that's a specialist, right? Just because you slept at a Holiday Inn Express last night don't mean you're an expert. That's why you hire an expert. And so, the guy, that's why we hired him. I tend to absolutely agree with that statement, that you go to somebody that specializes in soil, which this Terracon is, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
You said they're the ones, they're the leading ones, is what I've heard. And, I don't know, we're kind of at that point there, with whatever we figure out, I don't know.
We have to get this test done, right? I mean, do we have to?
I certainly would. I highly
Explain the
recommend,
length of how long this is gonna take to.
I highly recommend it. I don't think they're doing a money grab, but I think this gentleman's bosses, I think he's gonna say that that berm needs to be, it needs to be moved in. I'm guessing of what his bosses are gonna say. He wanted to get out there this week and have more of these holes dug. If the city digs them, that will save time and money. And then write a report over the next 1 to 2 weeks and have it.
Except for the city.
It doesn't save time and money for the city.
It would
I
save
mean,
time.
because Matthew and them could be going on and doing something
That's right.
else, so it doesn't really save time.
It'll save, Terracon will be cheaper, and Terracon will get out there faster, if the city does it, okay? So, I think his bosses are gonna say to move that in, and we wanna get to that answer as fast as we can, if this really won't work. It's not something I've seen, but he acted like it's not something he's seen. So,
And see, and that's where we should, I believe that it should have been studied more before we've got the berms built and all that, because now we're talking,
A lot of material.
a lot of material that's gonna have to be moved again, that's already been moved once.
that's right.
And you're looking at a good amount of dirt.
So the same test was done earlier. That's what everybody's been saying. They have to be held responsible for that, if we have to do that. Don't you agree?
They're gonna say we wanna do more tests.
So they done, best from what I remember, so when we started the project with the original lagoon size, we hit unsuitable. They came out. I believe you guys dug 2 holes.
Yeah, we've dug twice now.
Okay, so they came out, we made the decision, the decision was made to move the berm up and build the what we have today, okay? So then,
Based upon Terracon?
based upon Terracon, I'm right, well, we're getting, so.
This has been a long time ago.
Yeah, so basically, when we started, within a few weeks, we hit unsuitable down along the creek, okay? That's where the original dam was gonna be.
But that's when the guy in the blue shirt came in with Terracon at some point.
And you guys done 2 holes, okay, and then we deemed it unsuitable.
Yep.
All right.
Then we built, then Gary, they redesigned what we built currently. We have
So who
today.
made the recommendation to redesign it to where it needed to come to meet the need from that visit from Terracon, is my question.
I don't think Terracon was there that day. It's been a while.
I don't,
What
I
happened
don't
was,
know. I don't know if Terracon was there.
I can't, that's bad. So then Terracon, this last time came out,
Mhm.
examined, so we had a lot of water coming up out of the ground a lot, but it's in the, it was in the winter time, we was getting a lot of rain.
Understood, yeah, I get it.
So it's, you can get some false stuff. It's hard, it's tough. But we dug down, we did get some probes that were not good. We had some sand and stuff, and there was concerns, and he did seem to, Gary and I talked and explored some options, and now that Terracon led the way, and basically in layman's terms says, you guys are good to go.
well, they wrote a report to that.
Yeah, so now,
On this, we have to get the test done, and they say we don't have to move it, we don't move it, right?
That's right.
So we could talk all night. We gotta get them out here to find out
That's
if
what
we
we
gotta
do.
move it. We're just assuming the worst here.
So this is one of the options. What are the 4 options? Let's hear
And
all the
we're gonna
options.
hear them all regardless of if I agree with them or they're the right option.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna have to take your lead. I mean, you're
So-
project managing this thing, and the bottom line is Terracon, we're not gonna say we're gonna overrule a Terracon, but, but they're gonna have to get it together here with what they've already recommended to us that's not working.
So I'll go through all these.
Just so we know, we
And
should
just so
flush
you
them
know,
out.
I think I know which one I would do if it's the least, if there was the city of Gary and all those things. The first option is to abandon this lower basin, grade it to drain, sow it in grass, and forget it. And we still have the upper one. And I agree with Alderman Landon, I wouldn't, but I just wanna say all, yeah, that's one of them, okay? That's low risk because you're not putting any water in it, okay, 0 risk.
But then we lose that capacity, correct?
Sorry.
And you
that's
got all
one of
that
the things
money
we
dumped
need to
into that you didn't need
To
to.
get this capacity.
and you guys gotta understand, we're at like 98% completion.
No, we get that.
Yeah,
We
so-
understand what you're saying,
That's why
but
I
I mean,
So we need to try to save it, in my opinion.
Don't judge me on these options too, because I'm just making sure you guys understand all of the options.
no, I understand what we want to hear.
That's what we're asking, how much has it cost us to build this lower basin to date?
I think both basins were about 600,000, the upper one was probably 2/3 of that, I'd say 400, 200.
So the lower basin has been about 200,000.
That's right.
We're 150, 370 without me pulling, I think.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, 150 and 370, because we adjusted that in a change order because we changed the size for what we bid on. But 150 and 370.
Okay, option number, and this is in no particular order. Option 2, they can achieve compaction and build this thing right now as we go. But what happens is it deteriorates. So they can build it right, just like when that guy was there, they could have built. And then they do build this, they compact the material. When they come back a week later, it's softened up, it's gone.
And not to jump in on you here, but we already have that. We have compaction tests.
That's
So,
compacted.
we have.
Something that has been proven, that was tested by a geotech, it passed the test, no longer would pass.
But we have them. I mean, in theory, we can produce up to where we're at, which is near completion of
Because
compaction
your water
testing.
contents come up.
Because the water's come up from the vibration of the ground, that water's come up. So option 2 is to let them build it per spec, pound it in there, and get it full of wastewater and hope and pray that it doesn't. That's an option too. It's
What
the
happens
highest
if it don't hold later down, 2 years from now? Are we in trouble?
risk. The berm could blow out. Wherever they do.
Then
Then
we
the
level
are
it in.
sitting out there.
Then we level it and, yeah.
It's a
With their
super high
ticket
risk.
books.
It's the highest,
We're back in the news.
With their
Dennis
ticket
is
book.
got-
it's the highest risk. Option 2 is the highest risk option.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. So again, I gotta put them all on the table.
Move on. Yeah.
Option 3, no particular order, is to move, get Terracon out there, say, if we can't build it here, where can we build it? And move the berm, that berm to the right location that will be
Move the
satisfactory.
western berm,
Just the western berm to that
to
location,
make the basin small.
to make the basin smaller.
But it's gonna be quite a bit smaller.
But, and it's already half the size we started out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
So making it that small, is it worth having it?
It's still
Well, it
not more.
depends on what they tell us. It depends
Yeah,
on what they
that's
tell us
all.
we gotta go to.
But you don't know. what's
If they
gonna
take
cost.
half of that, I don't know, maybe do so in season, I don't know.
We don't know right
Well,
now.
they tell us all that when they come out
They'll
here.
tell us, yeah. And like I said, this time,
Well, that's what we need to do. And how long will that take? A year for them to get all the reports together?
2 weeks, he said, said
You're
2
gonna
weeks.
hold them on 2 weeks? That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
don't we?
that's realistic, 2 weeks.
we cannot,
What's the fourth option?
He told me.
I'm drawing a blank now on my fourth one.
You're bringing the same guys out, the same
The
guy,
same
the same team.
team, so now there's, I hope there's more over there. Alderman, I forgot the fourth option.
Just getting that report to you.
Well, that's
So then
the
you got,
Right.
I mean, we're gonna.
clay, what is it, midnight?
Well, yeah, wasn't it a trench with?
Midnight clay on the backside with a French drain?
Dig a trench around there's obviously water getting to it underground. Dig a trench all the way around that part of it, fill it full of bentonite to create a curtain. Then go outside of that, dig another trench, put clean rock in it to get that directly out of there. It's a,
What kind of calls?
But we don't know how deep that's gonna be, correct?
I don't think so.
But they'll tell us that on the test when they come out. No, I'll take
okay, will tell us, yeah.
And what's that midnight cost? That's rough estimate.
We don't know. It's
They
not
told us
something-
it was
Yeah, there's a, well, and then, but there's also a chance that you might get communication between clean groundwater, and if that starts coming out of that drain, right, your fresh drain you put in, you could end up with a real problem with the DNR.
Yeah, it has other risks, piping.
Well, I can do, yeah, but I mean,
I don't think there's any guarantee your drains are gonna
No.
stop this.
I don't like any of the four options. We're in an unfortunate situation of trying, we have a problem, we have a challenge here. And so if I was in your shoes, I would just want them to come out there, identify where the problem area is, where it isn't, and tell me if we can do it or not. And just, I need a full, the report they gave us was two, 3-page report. I need a full recommendation from them, signed and sealed by a professional engineer, that says this is where it can be or not.
You're
And
gonna be,
another option was to dig all that out and leave that
That's what it
hole
was.
deep.
Option,
Correct.
And leave that what?
Leave that section of that pit deeper.
if we go deeper, it doesn't matter, it's just a bathtub, it's gonna have 2 foot of water.
you're not gonna get rid of the
We
water.
could go down.
You've got,
I mean, that's an option
And
too.
take it
a
off.
But
you've got a seep bringing water in. It's
The
probably-
water's coming from somewhere, so you're not gonna be able to.
I'm afraid it's under that berm.
Fine, too.
That's why
Well, you had to.
This should have been
you
talked
got-
about way back before all that was done.
There lies
I think
my
we-
problem with it. is-
We didn't know.
But in the beginning, he gave us a report that it was perfectly fine to build this as we've
It was a
designed.
sub-grade evaluation, and so what they do is they go out and they look and they say, this is suitable for an embankment. Start building. That's the report we got. What I'm asking them to do now is take a broader look of an entire, a big look, not say, can I build here? Because it's the same problem area again. It's not like another one. I'm asking for a more robust.
So why didn't we do that in the first place?
When?
To get a mini report that you can't legally hold anybody to because
still
they
legally hold
it
to.
was, they
Was
was
the
stamped
water
off
coming
on
out
it.
before like this?
Did you just say it was
Was
legal?
it stamped
No,
by an
legally
engineer?
hold to.
Was it
They
signed off?
passed.
You can hold Tech on to it.
I mean,
Sure.
Yeah, well, but now you're saying you need a more expansive one to be able to go by what they're recommending.
More holes done.
More holes.
Understood, but should.
We should have done that first time.
That's my point. I mean, if what they did was not enough to guarantee that we would got, they made a decision digging 2 holes instead of 8 or 10 or whatever it takes, right?
And they only charge for one, too, so keep that in mind. But-
Well, we're paying for it, we're gonna get more holes,
Yeah.
and so they're charging more. This is a gift that keeps giving, looks like. So, this is starting to get concerning financially as well as we're way deep into a situation where 90% or more done with this thing, and we're gonna have to figure it out here, and we're gonna have to start to make sure we're protected moving forward completely, for the city of Centralia.
They're gonna claim there wasn't any water coming up when they came there the first time.
they can't claim
And
that.
there
I
was.
mean, it was, you know, there
It's
was.
in the report.
It said, it said in the report that water was coming up. and
So I
it's
feel
still
bad
passing.
for your saying. So,
Oh, it's,
yeah, so the bottom line is, we need to get this recommendation from them potentially, probably the best thing, because I would be afraid to do anything short of that, because it could end up being monumental extra money, well, it's gonna be more money.
So you had said you would tell us which one you would recommend if it was your hometown. Which one, what option is
So,
that?
see,
what I would do is get them back out there and say, tell me where I'm safe, where I don't have any risk, and I would move the berm. And I would never look back. I wouldn't worry about it at night. It would not fail.
I have a problem though with making that thing smaller. We've already cut it in half, now you've cut a quarter out of it, because it's gonna take a large section to get past that.
It's gonna take in between that dozer and that tractor to put that berm in there.
And I just,
By the time it's 3-to-1
we're
slope.
gonna have nothing left, except a lot of time and money.
You already got that. You already got
If
that.
they were paying for it, they're gonna have different answers whether, if we're paying for it. Because if you tell them, we need to probably move the berm, they're gonna go, I would then, and we have to pay for that. But if they had to pay for it, they probably wouldn't wanna move the berm.
earlier you said it was Gary's town or decision, you would make it a waterway and seed it and not have it be.
No, I would not do that.
Oh, I
If
misheard.
it was a city of Garrett, no, I would not do that.
Okay. Oh, my God.
And I know and Mike is always wanting more storage, and more storage is great, because we don't know what the weather's gonna do.
Well, I want more money, bang for our money, that's what I want,
That's
and
what
I feel like we've lost that, because we really didn't make the top one that much deeper, or get that much more out of it, so I feel like we paid, or we got a bid that we're paying for it, and we're not getting
That is correct.
that return.
We bid, just so everybody knows, we bid both of these basins, but we only needed one of them, the big one. The second one was an alternate, and we had low enough bids where we could take both basins. Well, now we got a problem basin. To do what you need to do, the goal of this project, if we didn't have a lower one, I'm not saying walk away, you would still meet the goals of the project. We just had enough in the budget at the time, not knowing this was gonna happen, where we accepted the bid for the lower one. So we got both.
So we all in agreement to get the test done? And that's gonna answer all the
I got a
questions.
Follow-up question on that though. So if the other basin's already enough for the goal of the project, why wouldn't we just go the simplest route and essentially grass it and move on?
It gives you growth, it's the cheapest now that it'll ever be, back then, it was the cheapest
We've already,
basin.
You've got a ton of money right there
Yes.
digging a hole.
That's
Are
right.
we
So we've already
gonna
got,
throw more money at
we've already got
something?
some, well,
I
we don't
mean,
know.
it's not usable now with a big hole there that we've already dumped a fortune in.
We don't know what it's
Would
gonna
that
cost.
come out of the
us
top
to-
one, down to the bottom one, and then back to the
That's what
pump
we need
house?
to find
That's
out.
how
When
it
the
goes.
test comes back, then we'll have to
Yeah,
make
so
up
we'll
our
have to
mind.
run that pump hose back up.
What we
to
need
their
to
top.
realize too, though, the city of Centralia is gonna continue to grow.
If this was
And
the
it
upper
grows, there's
basin, we'd be in
more
trouble,
water,
wouldn't we?
more runoff,
It's huge.
more stuff.
It's way
If it was
Well,
leaking
I'm
like
sure
this,
the
we'd be in,
project was
we'd have
done.
It'd be
problems.
worse. It'd be worse.
Yeah, we would
Most
be
of
in
the
big
projection
trouble.
of it.
We gotta have
But
the,
the top basin has as much storage as we
We're
want.
supposed to get 25 years.
Yes.
With the upper basin.
we're gonna make it either.
We might be shocked, people would say no problem.
We're gonna make it either way.
Yeah.
If we're pumping from the top, as it is now, down to the bottom one,
It gravity.
Gravity feed.
gravity feed, how much control is he gonna have to put out there and much time? Because you're gonna have to watch that in order, if it's gravity feeding down, I understand it's gonna only go down. But you can only put so much in that bottom one, and the smaller it's getting, it's not gonna hold anything. That's gonna affect his,
Well,
Getting that water
I
through
think they
there.
were gonna give us a data sheet on some timelines. If it's open this
Different
much, you've
levels.
got this many days.
Per foot.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, here's my thing, is if we wash that bottom basin, you've already said we're so close to running out of money on the engineering side. Then, if we wash that, then you guys gotta rework that whole thing to get the suction line, if you're gonna still do that, back up to the pump house. I mean, that's another huge cost that,
Mm-hmm.
So the engineering costs and testing costs the other way.
yeah.
Well, it is.
Where we stand, yeah, it's a challenge. This is a tricky one, unfortunately. The other ones went fairly smooth, the farmer ones went super smooth. We didn't, we got bad luck on this one. So that's the plan right now, to get Terracon out there, get a sealed report. They did sign, it wasn't a text message before, it wasn't a call, it was a report with a signature on it. But I'm asking that.
But you said it was a two-page report,
Yeah,
you want a full report, you said, is what I heard, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so my point is, I don't, should we have gotten the full report back the first time, is the question.
You know, he was there and said we can build on it, so why
Well,
waste
that,
time?
so that goes back to them.
He didn't see the issue before.
We're all making decisions on the fly and with reading him and reading, and so.
It goes a lot of, I'm hearing what I want to hear.
Is there a possibility when you put water in the upper basin, it's gonna make the lower basin a bigger problem in this area?
There's a liner in the upper basin, 19 inches thick to protect from that, to keep water from going out. And it will be tested to ensure that.
And also keep in mind that the problem is isolated down into the corner of it. The further we come up to the north, we get out of it. And I'm talking in the lower basin. So, I mean, the upper basin, everything's went good. We've not had any issues with any soil types or anything. So this is limited down in this corner of this, it would be the southwest corner of this. So, and what I'm saying is in that problem lagoon, you don't have to go too far north from the area, and it's, you're out of it.
The only potential action tonight for the board, the only proposal that the board really needs to look at and consider and vote on tonight is what's going around. This is a no-cost change order number 3 for Fisher Grading LLC. Chris Fisher is right here in attendance tonight. So I said it's a no cost, so it has to be doing something that's that in time. So Chris is out of time as of
Last Friday.
4 days ago. So if you'll just read the bold text is really where I would direct your attention to. There's 2 dates in any of these contracts we put out. There's a substantial completion date. That's the date where things need to work as intended. Then there's a final completion date where like all the grass is established and you're completely done and gone. So they've asked for an extension of the substantial by 75 consecutive calendar days. Instead of it being May 6th, that would be July 20th.
And they've asked for a final, and that's in that third paragraph of bold, going from June 5th, additional 75 days, to August 19th. So that is the proposal on the floor for the board, and we can discuss that. Chris is here to discuss it as well, so.
Question I have is, it seems a little disparity in what's being said. I heard we were 90% done, and now we're asking for 75 days.
Well, so.
Those don't match up to me.
Well, I'll explain. So a couple things we gotta keep in mind. One, this lower basin, I'd say we're gonna be 1st of June on before Terracon gets everything back to you guys for my discussion with them, before we can make a decision on moving forward on it. Upper one, we've gotta get them, we gotta start our testing. It's 30 days to test. I would say DNR will take 2 weeks to review. So right there is 45, 50 days just in testing. So that's a lot of where we're asking for.
Okay, so my 2 cents on it, the lower basin issue, I mean, if that goes through a redesign, that would be a different change order and all that would be account. So I don't know how that would play into this, but.
Well, but that has nothing to do with the 30 days and then the 2 weeks and.
How many days do you have to finish the top basin?
Right now, oh, that he would do?
Yeah, how many days would it take you to finish the top basin today?
Well, I mean, if this weather straightens out, I mean, there wouldn't be, in a couple weeks, there wouldn't be a lot left to do. If we can run every day, which it looks like this week's supposed to be good, and it looks like next week, for the most part, supposed to be good.
How many days
We
have
also-
you spent reworking the lower basin?
So we pulled, so on the lower basin, so we actually pulled, so the 19 inches of floor, but we actually pulled that back out with an excavator and threw it on the backside of the dam. And the guys put it back in today to try, because it just was mud, slop. So we've got, we've been messing around with this, this lower basin, this water for weeks. We brought this up last year, with that's the reason Terracon come out. So,
Like Wayne just said, we need to focus on getting the top one done. And you're saying 2 weeks if the weather's.
yeah, but another thing is, depending on what we do up there, on the lower one, we may need dirt from the upper one. So we don't want to have to haul it twice. You follow what I'm saying?
Well,
if we,
They're gonna double headers.
it's depending on if we decide with the berm.
Let me ask this question to you, Matt. The last time we had this thing, we were a little dissatisfied, I think, as a group with the effort, the good faith effort that we felt was lacking.
Right.
I think that's fair for all of us to say, right?
Yeah.
And in fairness to you guys, who gave the extension, it seemed like you were doing some real work. You had some real crews out there making an effort, is what I was hearing. I asked at that time for us to track the days from the extension and what of those days were workable days and what effort was made by Fisher during that time. Do you have that information?
I think we had a total of like 15 actual rain days, wasn't it? Of, not counting weekends of it rained all weekend and they couldn't get back on.
Well, yeah, then you have
So yeah,
days.
so about half the month of rain days that and honestly, Mark was up there, whether it be on his own time, whatever that may be, pumping it out, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night up there trying to make it to where they can work. I mean, the effort,
So you feel like the effort?
yeah, the effort was
engagement,
completely
it was
there.
to the
That
level? That's
yeah.
what I want to make sure of. That's
Yeah.
what I want to
No,
hear. That's what I thought I'd heard, but I wanted to.
the amount of work that got done was a lot, so.
So how much of this 75 days is your contingency built in for if we need to redesign, maybe there's no if, a redesign of the lower basin?
I wouldn't, that's such a loaded question, I couldn't
Yeah,
say.
a lot of that just came about today.
Well, I know, but
So-
he used that as his reasoning for needing 75 days.
No, what I'm saying is the testing on the upper one.
I know, but you did use use that as your reasoning.
Well, I said
about
that-
75 days.
Not really. I mean, what I'm saying is we can't really, the lower one right now, I mean, we really can't say anything about it. I mean, Terracon could come through in 2 weeks. I personally think it's gonna be longer than that. We'll have to attack that when we get it. As far as the upper basin, I mean, we need 75 days to get it completed and test. I mean, that's just simple as that. Because most of them,
Okay, well, that's not what you said about 5-10 minutes ago. That's why I'm bringing it back up, okay? So if that's your reason, you need 75 days just for the upper basin, okay?
But
But that's
that's
not what
including
you
the
said.
test.
The test time is part of that, correct?
yes, I mean, so the testing is 30 days straight and then, I mean, what's the DNR? Are they 3 weeks to turn
It was
around?
about
the-
21 days out of Benoit.
Well, took 3 weeks.
Things change now, right? Because we've got to wait for Terracon, if we go that route, to find out what they say, to shorten the base, to move it, right?
Forget about the lower basin.
But here's another thing we gotta keep a little bit in mind for our sake. So when we monitor, in theory, we would want to do the testing on the upper and lower one at the same time because we have to monitor it every day and it gets costly. You know, it's basically,
Decision on the lower basin could impact
Well,
what
and
it
that
is
will
in
bring
the-
another change order through, that's kind of my point. I mean, with what we know today for the upper basin, we should be talking about that. There will be another change order, regardless, I think whatever Terracon comes back with, there's gonna be a change order, which what I would expect would request another extension because of the lower
And the
basin.
reason I was asking the question about the lower basin was this, so to compare, right? Today, how many days of work do you have to complete it as it stands today?
the lower one?
Basin.
2 to 3 days, I would say we would be about.
You're that close to being able to be done with that basin if we weren't
And-
having this problem. That's why we have that to compare. So that being said, when we see the change, whatever the potential change will be, when we get this report from Terracon, that's why I'm going back to that. I think we gotta judge this on the upper basin, but also we wanna do them simultaneously if possible.
To do the testing to make it,
Good point, but I'm saying, the reason I wanted to ask that question was, how close are you today to being done at that basin?
I mean, I think the smartest thing for everyone's money is we focus on the upper. And then if we can have it completed about the time Terracon comes back with what they want to do, then we can make the decision if we want to start testing just the upper and deal with the lower later. It would be better for everyone if we could test at the same time and both tests done, DNR blesses both lagoons, and we go on. You know, that's, because it's gonna, I mean, that's it's just gonna cost, you know, twice that, we just would like to have both of them monitored at the same time. But if, you know, like I said, we do realize that you guys need to get the upper one going for capacity, and we'll just have to navigate that. Basically, a lot of these, we can't answer this until Terracon comes back with what we're gonna do down there.
Matt, capacity is not so much a problem right now, because we're pumping out to Benoit, and we got a lot of pond there to fill up, and roads is not gonna be ready any sooner than you are, probably later, in all honesty.
So you do or do not think, you think you will be okay on capacity?
Let's just go with no.
You will not be.
We need it.
We need it, but right now, we got a place to go with it to keep it.
Yes, but I just don't wanna, I don't wanna say, no, we're not worried about it, and then it gets to a point we go.
But that's why we gotta think about what we do with this testing. You know,
Right.
we don't want to set on the lower one and you know, I don't know. I mean,
Okay, so it sounds like for the lower, we gotta wait for the report. We have a change order in front of us. Is this something we vote tonight, or is this, we vote on this?
so I guess another question is, do you guys want us to continue, do you want us to knock this lower one out, finish the floor in it, be done with it, and then, or do you want us to just abandon it altogether for now? So there's 2 or 3 days, I would say, of shaping up the berms, putting the floor in the center of it.
I wouldn't spend more money on
That's what I'm asking. You just want us to just focus,
We can't do anything until we get some kind of answer. I mean,
but we could finish that center section. There's still that upper where the water was setting, and that's just from all the rainwater. That's not an issue that we were pumping. So I mean, we could, I guess what I'm asking is, do we go in there? Do you want us to finish the lower one minus what Terracon decides down at the dam?
I don't think we're gaining anything by working on the lower basin now.
It's up to you guys. I mean,
we know we think we're gonna have
What's the
something positive
recommendation from?
on the upper one, that's where we ought to put the effort to finish it.
If it does go to raining on us, you know, again, we would have it done. Because I'm leaning towards you guys are gonna try to save this lagoon, so it would be nice to get that floor knocked out.
I think we should defer to you.
I think what we should get is that top basin done, tested, and online, start kicking water into it.
Because then we have the capacity to get the test started, even though it costs us more money.
At least we have
We have
something
that
done.
finished and we
We know
have
we have-
that
we
back.
know we
I understand your
have-
point, but we were talking about that was the one we needed to have 25 years worth of growth and ability to handle the water, right? So, you know, it sounds like to me the top one's the one we should get finished and just figure out what's gonna take. Because you're talking about
Pumps in that.
2 or 3 days to finish it.
The only thing that hurts us is if we would go to getting rain and we gotta pump that.
No, I understand.
You know, right now, we've got it where we can get in there and finish it, because we've been pumping on it a lot. So that would be, advantage to us now is, we got a dry week, we could get in there and get it done while it's dry.
I think we should finish.
So
the
you
top.
can do the bottom floor, bottom basin floor, you can have done in 3 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and then be done with it, and then we don't have to, then,
I think we ought to finish the floor on the bottom in case it goes to rain and turns to shit.
Yeah.
Seal it up.
because it could, that 2 or 3 days could turn into 2 weeks of digging around.
Get
Seal it
that
up.
done, get that done fast, yeah.
What do you think?
I think
Mike?
I'm about the same point with Landon. If
Seal
that's
it
all
up
you gotta
and it's
go,
done.
smooth it up, we know we got a corner that we gotta work on.
Yes.
Well, you've got the ability to do that this week.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, because we've been pumping and pumping and
degrees.
pumping, and I just don't wanna,
Well, that's a waste of time. You get to where, then when we move the berm,
So the bottom basin floor should be done by Thursday, roughly.
that's what I would anticipate, yeah.
and then go up and finish the top, where we got that, get it on test.
You should bake
If
it.
it
I don't think we
becomes
hold it
rain
together to
again-
test. I think we get the testing.
If it comes to rain again, that could be a mess down there.
And actually, if you see the
Thunderstorm over the
pictures,
weekend.
it looks like concrete down there on that east end that he's got done, all the way up to where they basically got the water.
About this picture.
Yeah, it's gonna
Do
hold
you wanna
water.
talk about that picture?
That was just, I had that on my phone, that was from the original Terracon visit. That's kind of what the condition of that corner was in whenever we did that first sample.
Got it.
So,
Do you have another one, because wasn't the berm completely out of that whole corner?
Yes.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can see what
Yeah,
I
it
mean.
was sloped back like he just pushed that back out.
It was like a lake dam cut open, basically, we had,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I remember.
Okay, so we got a change order in front of us. Need a motion for it?
So,
Act on it tonight.
I've got a problem with this change
Should,
order.
excuse.
We have asked for dates of where you're gonna be at in the project, and we have not got that yet at all. Where you've been, you know, I plan on being here on this date, I plan on having this done on this date, this done on this date, and we have not received that.
If we
So-
didn't ask for that, Blake.
Did we ask for that?
So,
You had-
here, we've asked for stuff and haven't got it. Here, you're wanting another extension, but you're wanting us to give that to you, but we haven't got what we want. I mean, the street goes both ways.
I mean, you know, but we've been out there, you know, battling mud. I mean, we've been dealing with this. We have not asked for, you know, any change order money up and stuff. So I don't think that's fair to say. I mean, we've been fighting this project in the rain and the mud, and we've had guys up there on the weekend pumping water. I mean, it's not like we're, you know,
I mean, but we have asked for that and ain't received it.
well, I did not know that. Do you have an email where you asked?
You were sitting right here when we had this conversation.
I understand, but we've got like 35 projects going on. And I don't mean that in a disrespect, but I mean, if that did get asked, it got past me.
Well,
I
think it hits home to a point, right there.
I do not
We
remember
felt that
getting
our
asked that.
project has been something that has not had good faith and effort put in the beginning of this thing, thus the reason where we're at with not a lot of moving dirt when there was opportunity earlier. That's the frustration I have. I don't care about it. You bid a job, you know you're gonna have weather, that's part of it. I don't wanna hear that 35 jobs, we've got 35 jobs, so excuse me if I'm not getting to yours, we're not doing this way.
That's not what I meant. What I meant
I'm
was-
taking that away, the frustration, I think the rest of us probably feel the same way a little bit. So, that aggravates me. I've not got aggravated to this point. I understand the points that you're making about what you're needing to do, I think, in the upper, getting the upper one finished. I do appreciate the fact that you want to try to test them both, but for the capacity issues, we probably gotta do that. And so I think that there's an expectation. You guys have stepped up, no question, and really made an effort. We've heard that from everybody, all the way to our people here. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. But we're where we're at too, to what I consider of lack of attention early in the project. And so that frustrates me. So I have to get that and throw it out there. Whether you like that or not, I don't really care. I think it's a valid and it's a fair statement. That being said, we want to get this project done. We need to get this project done, and we need to work together to get it done the best we can. And I think that you all made a lot of good faith effort, and Chris really stepped up in this phase, and I appreciate that. So it's not gone unnoticed to me, and I appreciate that. We just need to hammer out how we get to the finish line from here. Is what we want to do. So we don't need to be adversaries, but that statement aggravated me because when you go bid a job, that job to the person you bid it to, that's all they're worried about. They don't give a damn what else you got going on. I live in that world every day myself.
No, and I think it was taken out of context. What I was meaning is I do not remember that. I mean, I've got, I do not remember it from that day, and that's me being honest. I mean, I could, make something up, but I do not remember it.
And for me, I
We're looking
think,
for a rough schedule. We understand there's rain days. We understand that, but you give us a schedule. And then if we say, oh, there were 3 weeks worth of rain days, that was the whole point of having that schedule. So that this conversation would actually be a lot easier. We could say, yeah, okay, we understand. But when right now it's this black hole, that's really what it is on the schedule. It's a black hole. You're asking for 75 more days after we already did another extension. This is a black hole. It's hard to know we're going to be at this milestone at this point and this milestone at that point. We don't have any of that information. We are flying blind. That's why we asked for that schedule. It wasn't to be difficult, but it was to make sure we all were on the same page. Right now, we're obviously all not on the same page still here. And I don't remember when change order number 2 was.
March 16th.
Yeah, March 16th.
Okay, so here we are 2 months later, and we're still not on the same page.
Excuse me, from our engineer, do you feel the extension is warranted?
Tough question. I would say that,
We're paying you to make tough decisions.
I can do that. So,
yeah,
take a
you
look.
might have a big poet pants on here.
I'll answer this pretty easy. Take a look at your change order. Okay? Do you see the numbers in the middle?
The 192 going
Do you see the 190?
Yeah,
In my opinion, because the 190 was my decision, I think it would take 190 consecutive calendar days to complete the work.
okay.
Okay? That's how it was bid. Okay? So that's my opinion of how long it would take.
And that's not added rain days, that's straight good weather,
That's
correct?
work days, not calendar days.
That's normal with some normal rain.
Not through winter time.
So you have that factored in, you have some,
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But
We
one,
thought it was going to take a little over 6 months.
I will say this, and here's what happened, you guys, I'm starting to remember, we were trying to start earlier, and DNR had a lot of trouble getting this thing pulled together. So whenever the end of his 190 was in the winter, okay, arguably it was. So we went ahead, and we added 277 calendar days, right?
Contract days I'm taking
Added 87.
is calendar
Okay.
days.
So we went from 190 to 277 because of that. In March, okay?
you made 75 days.
So, well, that's the proposal. So if you're gonna ask me if the project could be completed in 277, I'm gonna say it could be, and it could have been, to be honest with you. I have to be truthful with you, but it could have been, okay? We've had some things that we're working through, but that's my answer. Is that fair? I think 277, 190, if we had started at the beginning of the summer, end of spring, about a year ago, I think would have been plenty to do. Would have been it would have been a busy 190. So,
But we'd have been much closer to 190 or 277 if more got done earlier in the project.
we had a slow start.
Okay, that's where I took exception to your statement, and maybe I misunderstood, and so, I get that, but we're here where we're at today, period, for whatever reasons, and this is where we're at. So, I think we need to try to get to the finish line, because to find contractors and to everything else would be crazy to this point. What I needed to see for me, and we didn't get the schedule, I agree wholeheartedly with that, we were very clear about it. What we needed to see was a real effort, Chris. And so I guess the question I would ask you and Mike, but we pay you to give us advice, right? You're getting paid too, and I'm glad you're here tonight, Gary. I would ask you two, your thoughts.
I think with the work that if you'd have done like this last 2 months, this project would have went smooth as can be. We got a slow start, and we had times when Dozer sat there for a lot of weeks. So if take that out of the equation, and we'd had the same approach when it started, I think we'd have been done. So, in all honesty, what you've done in the last couple of weeks has been phenomenal. I mean, it looks great. Even today from last week, well, when Harold and I went out there to do a drive-through, it's amazing the change that's happened. Mark has put a lot of effort into getting that done. He's worked his tail off, you can tell it. So, you're close. So,
I think it's important we realize too, there's part of this project that's not been workable.
yeah.
I mean, there's part of this that it's not their fault that it's not working.
Yeah. You've had some
And that's why
crappy
I
weather.
said
No, it's not, there's a corner.
Yeah.
It's just.
There will be another change order.
Yeah.
And we'll address that part at that point. So I got 2 questions.
So another
Leaving
2
us a
weeks,
schedule.
a lot of these answers should be answered, shouldn't it? If you get some good weather. We gotta get the project done.
So I got 2 questions for you. And then we really do need to vote on this and move on at this point. So I have 2 questions. Will you provide us a schedule by the end of this week?
Yes.
Are you committing to the same level of resources that we've been seeing since March?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the change order number 3.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor of approving change order number 3? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approved. Thank you for a long
Sign
conversation.
this all around.
Mr. Forsey, anything in your report you want to add?
We pretty much hit it all. We got bids due on the Douglas Farm as far as seeding and everything.
This week.
People that are interested, talk to several farmers that asked really good
We need an
questions.
update.
That's due Friday.
Okay.
Next Monday, we have asphalt bids due. We gotta send a little change that they suggested that we do, that might help us get a better price. We're gonna get that out tomorrow morning.
I can get a schedule.
And then
But yeah, I don't.
probably a lot of you have seen that pipe.
Guys, can you move the extra conversation out so we can hear, please?
Y'all probably seen the vans with flashing lights, checking the manholes and stuff. That's work being done for Ameren. They found a lot of problems that gas lines have got through sewer, so it's been a good process. It's been really good to work with them, so we'll get some good information from them on that, so.
Question about the paving, Mike. We talked about Camel Street and those people want to do approaches. Have you talked to them about giving a bid?
I was gonna talk, see who got it first, and then we'll go from there.
No, we need to do that.
They'll
There's
all
several,
do it.
at least everybody's wanting to offer to do that, so
Sure.
I think we should offer them that opportunity. The approaches.
Any questions for Mike on his report?
Hey, Gary.
Any as may arise?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Somebody needs to go look for the fire chief again.
Anybody need a break?
Times he left.
What was Gary's last name?
David.
Thank you.
Okay. What time is it? It is, you need to stop the camera and restart it, so it's all on.
Yes.